Back in 2014, MTV released a documentary called The Ride, covering Linkin Park's entire career up to that point. According to them, Mark Wakefield was the singer for Relative Degree. This was the first and only time we've ever heard that. So is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark was definitely the singer for Relative Degree.
Okay, so basically in the band, it was you and Mark and Rob.
Yep.
And Brad, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you first meet and get involved with the guys from Linkin Park?
So I'd known Rob through high school. So both of us went to Calabasas High together.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd known him through high school. I was a couple of years older and, I'd played in some bands. So, played in this little band called Karma, which wasn't much of anything. It was, we never even played a show. It was more of just like a jam band. But, so, I knew Rob for a while. I left for college, went to Cal State Long Beach, and I was actually giving a girl in the dorms bass lessons. And Mark Wakefield heard me playing, and he was asking me if I wanted to get together and jam sometime. So, at that time, we played in Long Beach for a little bit. It wasn't really like the sound we were looking for with some of the people that we'd kind of jammed with. And so, I told him about Rob, who was just like an awesome drummer. And he was from Agora. So it's funny, like him and Brad and Mike all went to Agora High, and we went to Calabasas. And, Calabasas was kind of big in the music scene too. Like, we were, it felt like little brothers to like Incubus and Hoobastank and, those guys coming out of there. So, we eventually got together. Mark introduced me to Brad. I introduced them to Rob. And, just like we gelled right away. It's just a fun group of guys. The sense of humor that they had, and just like we had a really good time playing. So, eventually we got to the point where we were, because I was going to, both Mark and I had classes basically like Monday through Thursday. So we'd leave like right after class on Thursday and play like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then head back to Long Beach. So, we did that for quite a while. So for about a year anyway. So, but yeah, that's how we got to know each other.
Okay, that's cool. So you're basically the one who met Rob to the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last year, Mike mentioned that Mark and Brad were together in a rap metal band called The Pricks. Do you remember anything about the band? Who else was it? Was it in any way related to Relative Degree or?
No, it wasn't related at all. I didn't know much about that band. Assuming it happened before, but yeah, I didn't really know much about The Pricks.
There's also an old unauthorized documentary called Conspiracy Theory, where a man named Mike Giangreco says he was Brad's boss at the Roxy and the Whiskey, and worked with his band The Pricks. Did he also work with you or Xero back then?
Not really work. No, I remember that guy's name kind of coming up from like when we were trying to sell the tickets and stuff. Because for any like new bands out there, whenever, especially if you're trying to play a place like the Roxy, you have to sell a certain amount of tickets for them to even consider, letting you do it. So I know we had been in touch with that guy, mainly Brad. But yeah, that's all I really know about that guy.
Okay. Rob said he actually auditioned for another band of yours, Karma, as you said before you guys even started Relative Degree, but he was actually rejected. Do you remember that? Do you remember even the reason why or something?
No, and honestly, I can't imagine that, 25 years ago is a long time, so my memory's a little fuzzy on some of this stuff, but um, I think that was Jeff Blue who said that. I don't know if Rob ever mentioned that he didn't get accepted into the band, because I don't remember ever rejecting Rob. I mean, the guy was one of the best drummers. I mean, the only concern I think we had at first was it was like, he was a drummer for like the high school jazz band, and just if he'd fit in from a style standpoint. But I mean, dude, the guy's an amazing drummer. I mean, he was probably one of the best musicians out of the whole group.
Did he actually end up playing with Karma?
Yeah. I mean, it was more jamming. I mean,
Mhm.
we and it's funny, like when people ask about like names of songs and stuff like that, like, like so much of the stuff we did was, someone would put down whether it's a bass line or drum line or something, something that, we kind of felt and just start playing and start building onto it. So we didn't have like this super like formal way to like write music back then. It was just kind of jamming. But Karma was pretty much a jam band, if anything. Never played a show or anything.
What type of music did Karma play?
Uh, it was kind of like alternative. I don't even know the best way to describe it. It was definitely raw, to say the least.
How long was it active, the band?
I don't know, maybe 6 months I mean, we had jammed a lot, because, and time kind of gets screwed up a little bit, just because, like back in high school, you only get to play so much together. I mean, I played water polo back at the time, so it was kind of like between, water polo and in the band practicing and stuff. But I'd probably say like 6 months ish.
Okay. So after that comes Relative Degree, right?
Yep.
How did the name Relative Degree come up? What's the story behind it?
Um, Mark was really the guy who came up with it. I think it was just like the cool idea of like, hey, this 1 degree away from like boiling point, like, because like looking at the bands that like we really followed and listened to a lot, like there was a lot of like this pent up, just like angst almost, and like, I think sometimes just having that like little bit just to push you over the top enough to go to boiling was kind of really the idea behind the band's name.
Okay, cool. And how did the band sound like? What was your sound? How would you describe it?
So, you gotta remember this is like 95. So, 311 was, I mean, that album music was probably like on, replay in the car stereo, like nonstop. So I'd say like 311. At the end, we kind of threw in some horns. So it's funny, that for our show at the Roxy, we had horns, but like they hadn't been in the band like up until, like just a little bit before we played the show. Because I wouldn't say like ska was kind of our thing, but like No Doubt was huge back then, so you had and honestly, I think it was 95, System of a Down. I remember seeing No Doubt and System of a Down at the Troubadour, and kind of drawing a blank of exactly when that was, but like that kind of sound. But definitely influence of like Deftones for sure. So, it was, we were trying to kind of mold a couple genres together of what we liked.
Okay, that's cool. You mentioned And also in the photos you sent us, there were two saxophone players on stage with you guys on the Roxy. So who are they? Were they actually official members in the band? You mentioned
Yeah.
they came in just a little bit before the show.
Yeah, I mean, they came in really late. I mean, and I apologize if they see this. I honestly don't remember the names. You know, it was pretty late on that they came in to just like prep for us. Rob knew them through jazz. So I mean, they were definitely musicians, so they were able to pick up like really quick from what we wrote. So that they were kind of like added into it. It wasn't like we had horns the whole time.
Okay, that's cool. Um, during MTV's The Ride, we also saw for the first time the flyer of the Relative Degree show at the Roxy. Who designed that? Do you remember? How did you come
Mark,
up with the flyer?
So he was going to Cal State Long Beach for art. I mean, the guy was just like super talented. I mean, I think that's really kind of like how him and Mike and Joe, you know, gelled. You know, they're all artists, just super talented. So, you know, he put it together. A lot of those early flyers. That was him.
Where did the band rehearse back then?
Good old Rob Bourdon's mom's house. So like literally he lived like, so Calabasas High, he lived like not even a block. It was like a street away from the high school. And man, she was a saint because like, you know, imagine, you know, all these kids like playing at your house 4 days a week. And we loved practicing. I mean, like literally, you know, we were practicing 2 to 3 hours a day when we were playing for like 4 days a week. So God bless her soul. She was amazing. Like without her, honestly, Linkin Park today probably wouldn't have existed the way it did because she had a lot of patience.
That's so cool, actually. We've also heard for a couple times that Mike collaborated with Relative Degree by creating samples for a couple songs. Did you guys work on music and record in Mike's studio bedroom back then or something?
No, we didn't necessarily do like recording back then yet anyway. So the only recording we did, and man, so like when all this stuff happened, like I was trying to find, because I have a couple tracks, you know, like digital stuff. And you got to remember, like back then, you know, like, and it kind of stinks that technology wasn't how it is today, because we probably would have captured a whole lot more stuff. But you know, Brad had a neighbor down the street that had this cool little recording studio in his garage. So I know we put together like a little DAT for it, but I have the faintest idea where that thing is. But as far as that, no other really recording. You know, Mike would come over, I mean, quite a bit, especially at the end. Like he was almost like a quasi member of the band. You know, we definitely want to collaborate with him. And we had a lot of fun doing some jam sessions and stuff together too, when we were Relative Degree with him.
So basically, are there any recordings of any kind from demos, rehearsals, live, anything from Relative Degree?
No. And even the show at the Roxy. So and it was pretty lousy quality for sure. So I saw after the show, I think it was either Mark or Brad. I'm pretty sure it was Mark though. There was a video camcorder that had captured it, but the audio quality from this little camcorder just stunk. So I think he kind of like held on to it. Like I think Mark and probably Brad too, like kind of saw a little bigger picture than I did. Like for me, it was just like more the moment of like, man, this is cool. We're playing the Roxy. Like I love music. It was something, you know, I've been playing bass since I was like 13 years old, but it was also something that, you know, I didn't ever like think like, you know, we could go big, you know, type of thing, you know? So I was looking at it as just kind of like having fun, where I think, you know, letting some of this stuff out, Mark was probably a little bit more strategic with, just because, you know, he definitely liked things sounding a certain way, and didn't want just stuff, you know, out there, which I totally respect.
What did you remember about that show actually at the Roxy? Would you say it was a successful gig?
Oh, dude, it was for us. I mean, like, it's funny, you know, you see the comments and the stuff they said and said, hey, it was a success. Like, the place was packed. I just remember like when we did the sound test and just kind of like waiting for the show, like the nerves, like, you know, Mark sometimes like would, if he got like super nervous, sometimes would like get things going on with his throat. So it was pretty like a lot of anxiety going into it. But I mean, again, we had been practicing a ton, just to kind of be ready for it. I mean, imagine like a year of playing stuff and obviously like the songs morphed and all that stuff into what we ultimately came up with. But, you know, I remember kind of going up to the top, behind the stage, and they had this little, like, you know, small little window, that you could look out onto the stage, and, you know, just all of us kind of peeking out there and being like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know? So it's cool to definitely experience that with those guys. It's something I'm always going to cherish.
That's cool. I mean, you mentioned also with Karma, you didn't play any live show and you rehearsed for that one for a long time. So was it like your first experience with a big gig or something?
Yeah, definitely, like a for sure a gig like that. I mean, you know, you got to think when you're kids, like growing up, like the number of bands that you know, got to see it, you know, either because we'd go to the Whiskey, the Troubadour, you know, the Roxy, and like to actually be playing like one of those like iconic places, you know, it was like a dream, you know, a dream come true for us at the time. So that's why, like, we were seriously like, hey, this is, you know, it doesn't get any better than that.
So, according to an MTV article from 2002, Relative Degree rehearsed for about a year and wrote 12 original songs too. Did you guys play those songs at the Roxy? Do you remember how many, any titles, anything about those songs?
So we never really, I mean, we never really got into the names. I mean, we had a set list for sure. Again, this is like 25 years ago. So I just don't recall any of the song names, unfortunately. You know, for the longest time, it's not like, you know, it really mattered. We were a one show band, you know, so, you know, unfortunately from the names of the song, stuff like that, no, don't have any of that.
So what did the band break up after the Roxy show?
I don't know. It was weird. Like, I think we just decided to take a pause, like after playing it. We definitely reached our goal, you know, of playing the Roxy. You know, so I think just ultimately, like, that wasn't I mean, like, honestly, the stuff that we were goofing around with Mike at like near the end part of Relative Degree was like honestly more like where the band was trying to go anyway. We definitely weren't trying to be like a ska band for sure. So I think that's kind of why. And then I just remember, you know, that summer. So I think we played in like May or something that summer. Brad and Mark and Mike had been goofing around, and it might have been mainly Mike and Mark goofing around just at their place over the summer. And I remember, Mark bringing it back to me, being like, dude, I gotta show you something. And like, I got to hear, Dilate and Death Test for the first time, and just like, mind blown. Like it was freaking everything like we ever would want. I mean, and back then it was, like definitely more separated, when you think of like the verse versus the chorus, and like what was rap versus rock. I think Linkin Park did a really good job of really like merging the two more. But man, it sounded, even though it was really raw, I mean, it was just like a little 4-track or whatever. Like I still listen to some of that stuff today, and it's like, gives me the chills.
You actually mentioned Death Test. You actually remember that track?
Yeah, for sure.
That is not out actually. It's Mike mentioned it might be the very, very first demo of Xero.
Yeah.
Do you actually remember what it sounded like or something?
Yeah, here, just 1 second. And I don't know if I could play the whole thing for you, but I'll maybe give you a little snippet. Would that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Because again, I didn't write the song, but so let's see. All right, we'll just do a little bit of it.
Yeah, just a snippet.
Certified chemist with a bachelor in beats, and break a beaker on your brain to turn your mind to mincemeat. Stethoscope is headphones to the heart of CDs. 103 BPM equals 90 degrees Celsius. Adjust your ventilator to 10. Inject a fluid flow into the hearts of men through IVs. A search for a sample that hits and make the Frankenstein of funk out of pieces of bits. I'm turning off my head. I'm going through these changes. I want you to be. I'm turning off my head. Going through these changes. I want you to be. Laboratory stories from the depth.
But yeah.
Damn.
So that is the Death Test that I guess everybody's been. I didn't realize that had been a big deal.
Yeah, actually, not a lot of Xero songs are out there. So yeah, that's so cool. Definitely sounds like raw as Xero always were. Damn, so cool.
Yeah. Here, let me stop sharing the screen. There we go.
How you actually have those tracks? Still, I mean, weren't they in like tape format or something? Have you?
Yeah, so I think I just like uploaded to the computer. So it's funny. So like even the names were kind of like track 1, track 2, track 3. so that's, any of the stuff that I did ever have, at least on the computer. And like, it took me a while to find this. Like, it's funny, like I didn't have the files for a little bit on this computer. And I was like looking for it after just like, because you gotta remember, I mean, like it's probably been 15 years since like I even like really spent much time thinking about like relative degree. So I went into the garage, like trying to find like, man, I got to find these cassettes somewhere. Like it's got to be here somewhere. And I've a family and 4 kids now, so it's buried underneath like the toys and all that stuff. But yeah, so I found an old laptop and I was like, I wonder if this has anything on it. Still running Windows 7, like old school, good old computer, and yeah, those files were on it.
Oh my god, that's crazy. That's gold, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, we only know we only like have the tapes with the baby cover. Remember the blue one, and the one with the shopping cart that is presumed to be before the baby one, like the first ones that they made and actually put out.
So Death Test and Dilate were like the two songs that
Even older than that.
I don't even like, it was literally what started it all. Like so those were the songs like Mike brought back to me to be like, hey, this is, you know, some of the stuff we've been working on. So yeah, that was like the very start of it all from a Xero standpoint anyway.
Do you mind if I pick your brain a little bit and throw around a couple titles of songs to see if you remember anything?
Yeah, I mean, you can try. Like again, it's been a long time, so I hope I'm not disappointing anybody if I don't.
No, don't worry. I mean,
they're like, you know, I had a lot of fun back in the day, and so my memory isn't quite as good as it used to be.
Even this was a huge surprise for me. I was never expecting that.
Yeah.
So we have Death Test, then we have Dreamer and Wait. Do you remember those two? They were they were supposed to be in a DAT tape following the track list Rhinestone, Dreamer, and Wait.
I have a couple other tracks. I don't know if they are those songs.
Oh, you still have them as track 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. so here, let me see something. And you said it was after what?
There was supposed to be with Rhinestone in the same tape as Rhinestone.
Yeah.
The three of them. Probably.
And some of this stuff's kind of mixed in together because, so like Picture Board, which I don't think, again, and just kind of bringing up the name point again, like when we were working with this stuff, like, and Mike might have been more than us, but like the names were always kind of like an afterthought, like, of the song. Like we didn't start like writing this thing being like, this is going to be the name. Like,
of course.
So, but here, let me do one more. And then, maybe you can, if we ever put this out, and I gotta be careful because again, I don't know if it's okay if I'm playing this or not.
Oh, actually, man, like I can cut out anything of the interview that you might want or anything. So don't worry about that kind of stuff.
And let me share the screen one more time. I'll play. I don't know if this is something that definitely hasn't been released. So,
yeah, just by the intro, I can tell this isn't something we have out there.
My third eye sees pain, my mind finds blackness. In this, the box of liars, thieves, and those of slackness. Wish for vision, aggression, my decision, collision. Stepchild of continent's division. And then the prison gateway beneath my feet. Down I fall, and through all my eyes and skies meet till I stop. Locked out the rusty gates of heaven. Record of sins, 1 out of 7. And you can't find help at the bottom.
the breakdown of that song is pretty freaking sick too.
It is.
Yeah. So probably like with 30 or 40 sections left in the track. I mean, yeah, it gets kind of hairy. It's cool.
And also, like when Mike did his like classical thing of jumping into the middle of the chorus, like that's so so classical Xero. That was so cool. Okay. I'm super excited just to hear a snippet of those tracks.
Dude, it's funny. Like sometimes I'll listen to it in my car or whatever, and like, you know, you kind of wonder, like, man, I wonder if people ever like realize like this is freaking them playing, you know.
I
Um,
I literally don't know even if the guys of the band have all the kind of tracks still.
they might not, you know. Those guys are like super hard. I gave up a while ago. Super tough to get in touch with. You know, like except Mike, like pretty much none of them are on social media for the most part, or if they are, like it's, you know, quasi social media. You know, it's funny, like I actually after the band, like I actually ran into Dave into Phoenix in Vegas, and you know, they end up give me tickets to one of the shows, because like this is after I lost touch, and you know, once the band, you know, goes big, it's like it's, you know, they probably have fans and stuff like that trying to reach them, and like I'm not trying to be this stalker guy, you know, like if things are meant to be, it's meant to be. I ran into them in Vegas, and they happened to be playing a show at the Long Beach. I think it's Long Beach Convention Center. So, you know, David invited me to show there, and that was kind of cool because like going backstage and like actually introducing some of my newer buddies to them was kind of like the closure for me that I kind of needed, honestly, because it's kind of weird, you know, playing with them and then all of a sudden, you know, not, and then blowing up so much. It was definitely kind of an adjustment for me, for sure.
Do you actually remember? Were you still in touch with them when they blew up, or did you? How did you find out? Did you suddenly
No,
listen
no.
to the radio?
So once, you know, I definitely was in touch with them while they were Xero, for sure. But I mean, they'd even played a show at the fraternity house that we were in for, or that Mark kind of was in for like a semester. But so they played a show there that was badass on a Halloween. You know, that was pretty cool. Also, like Mike and Anna, you know, Anna went to Cal State Long Beach, and so there was a sorority that she was a part of, and with keeping sorority names out of it and stuff, it was, you know, kind of cool to see. And I don't know if they had met before, but definitely like afterwards, like those two kicked it off pretty good. So that was definitely cool to see.
Well, what we know is that they met after a Xero gig, and Mark put them in touch in after party of a Xero gig, something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if it was the Xero. So again, Xero played at the fraternity house, that was so. I mean, I think they would have considered that a show. So I don't know if that was the first time they met or not, but definitely. I mean, I was there when they, you know, they were together that time for sure. So whether that was the first time or not, I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I believe so, but they would know better than me.
Okay, that's cool. So we were informed you actually played with Xero for a while before Phoenix joined the band. Do you remember when was it, and how long were you in the band?
It wasn't very long. So they got like this little studio in Hollywood that we played at. You know, it must have just been like the winter. Just I remember it being freaking freezing there. So
Was it Hollywood Rehearsal Studios on Hollywood Boulevard and Vine Street?
Yeah.
So we were talking about your time with the band, and the band rehearsed back then in as Xero. Would you mind repeating what you said?
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I don't remember the exact time. So it could have been, I think it was just like the winter time after Relative Degree had broken up, because definitely the summer after Relative Degree broke up is when Mark introduced me to the music that him and Mike put together. So I think it was that next winter that we started practicing there.
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact dates. I didn't have any part specifically in renting the studio or anything like that. But at some point, Mark had asked me if I wanted to help him. They were trying to put some of these songs together for potentially some A&R people to see. So it was kind of bad timing for me too, because I had only practiced there a couple times, and I had so originally when I first went to college, I went to play water polo. So I had stopped water polo because like music started taking up so much of the time.
Mhm.
And I played a pickup game of water polo and broke my two fingers, so my pinky and my ring finger. Unfortunately, on the hand that actually pressed down on the fretboard. So it was just not great timing for me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Why didn't you stay with the band? I mean, you were friends with the guys, you were kicking it off. So what happened there?
Yeah, no, I think it honestly was the timing with me breaking my fingers, them being so close. I think Jeff Blue was a little influential in that too. And this is just an opinion, I don't know for sure. But Mark kind of mentioned to me that, hey, it's Jeff had kind of said it's only your sound as long as you're the first to the radio with it. Like if someone else comes out with it, it's you guys are just a follower.
So basically, it was Jeff trying to push for a quicker release, and with your breaking your fingers, that would put them delay the schedule he had in mind, something like that.
Yeah, and then that's my understanding of the whole thing. And like Brad and Phoenix obviously knew each other from college, so I mean they were already good friends, and I think just the timing, because Dave was in a band back then, and I think just kind of the timing hadn't worked, and so I think just kind of between the stuff happening with my fingers, I think Dave's availability all of a sudden opened up, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, like Phoenix is a hell of a lot better bass player than me. I mean, I'm okay. But I think for Linkin Park fans, like it was probably a good thing that it went that way. Just they got better quality music because of it.
Okay, that's very big of you to say that. Have you ever did you get to play any shows or showcases with the band before Phoenix came in?
No, not with Xero. No. We had played for some people, and I forget if it was Jeff Blue who we actually played for. We played for some people, so I guess you call it a showcase. It was in the studio, and we had some people come to the studio to hear us. But that was about it.
Were there any Relative Degree songs like repurposed or reworked in some way for Xero?
No, I wish, because maybe I would get some royalties or something. Because that's the thing. Like, even though I played, I didn't write any of the songs. So for Xero, like they brought it. So Mark's in a pretty good spot. I mean, like, and I couldn't be more proud of Mark. I mean, I remember when Adrenaline from Deftones came out, and we would listen to that like nonstop. and later on, like System of a Down, and so to see that, like, he actually manages, like, can you even imagine that? Like, seriously, like, just the stick-to-itiveness that these guys have, like, to chase their dreams, like, they were really on purpose. I don't think a lot of kids in their 20s are as focused as they were on, like, actually going after their dreams. But man, to see like Mark actually doing that, like, is unbelievable. And honestly, if there was for me, like, one biggest regret, like, that guy was one of my best friends, and like, to lose touch, it was probably like the biggest thing. So if anything, maybe this thing helps. I know he's not big on social media, but and I'm not gonna like be a stalker and try to find him or anything. But if some good came out of this, it would be cool if somehow, like, reconnected with him for sure.
I mean, yeah, Mark is really hard to find on social media. We've all tried over since forever to somehow get in touch with him, and he's really hard to get in touch. So I'm not sure, but I really hope somehow this ends up reconnecting, because I also get, like, with the other band members, it's really hard when they have so many DMs and everything on their social media from fans. But yeah, as you said, Mark was a really good friend of yours, and I think it'd be great if through this that happened.
Yeah, and honestly, same with Rob. I mean, so obviously Rob, Brad, and Mark, I knew the best. Mike, definitely knew really well, but like, just hadn't spent the same amount of time as, like, specifically like Mark and Rob, for sure. So
Actually, was Mark already working with band management in '98, or he only started after leaving Xero?
no, he started like right after that. I mean, and I don't know the exact reasons for him leaving. But I think everything worked out with him being able to do what he does so well. So,
do you actually play on any of the Xero tracks that are out there on the Xero cassette tape, or any other demos from that time?
Not on the Xero. If I ever find the relative degree DAT, like, that would be priceless to me. If anybody has that, like, that would be, I have a feeling it's not out there, or it's in someone's closet or melted somewhere. That would be pretty cool for me to have, for sure. But yeah, no.
Who might have that, like Mark or Brad or something?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody would, probably Mark, maybe Brad, maybe Rob. I don't know, because, like, the reality is, so you got to look, when they're doing Linkin Park, they're just focused on creating new stuff. They're probably not in the looking backstage yet. So maybe they spend more time there now, potentially. But I know, just like when you're in the creative process, like, you're not, you're about the present. You're about how you want to move forward, not focusing much on the past yet.
Totally. Okay. Oh, that's an interesting one. Many years ago, there was a drummer named Scott Belshaw that claimed on his MySpace biography that he actually played for Xero briefly, but we were never able to contact him or hear his story or anything more than that. Do you have any recollection of him or someone else other than Rob playing drums at the beginnings of the band?
So, and it definitely, well, I shouldn't say definitely, because up until the point I was playing with Xero, Rob was it. But we had a drummer, Scott. I don't remember his last name. That Mark and I had played with in Long Beach before ultimately, recommending that, hey, like, I got this drummer back at, Calabasas that frickin' is, so maybe pre-relative degree.
Okay.
Because definitely we jammed with a drummer a couple times, before relative degree, named Scott, but I don't remember his last name.
Okay.
So maybe that's where.
Actually, that's super random and interesting. Because we always assumed maybe that's not true, and then now it fits kind of like that actually makes sense.
Yeah, because like if all of a sudden he played with Mark, I could see him saying, hey, I played with the guys from Xero or whatever, and there's a chance, he could have been at like some of the parties or whatever and heard, Xero in the early days or whatever. So, but definitely we had a drummer named Scott before relative degree, after Karma.
Okay, that's pretty cool information. Do you have any information about live shows from relative degree or Xero? We have a big live guide on our website. Is there anything you could contribute there, from flyers, from information, set lists, any shows that stood out to you, maybe something that's missing?
I think it just said the fraternity house or what. So that was an epic show. So that was the Halloween, probably had to be like 98. That Xero had played at Cal State Long Beach at a fraternity house on Elm Street back in the day. What songs they played? I Stick and Move, Saul, which I don't know. Did they ever go into like what the name Saul is all about, like for the song? Have they ever touched that?
I'm not sure. Would you like to tell us?
No, that was actually one of Mark's roommates, in college. So Saul is famous now because even though they kind of changed the name over time of that song, it was one of his roommates. Cool guy.
As you said, like, names weren't the priority back then.
Dude, they absolutely were not. And so that's the funniest thing when you're talking. And then honestly, like, and you can even hear it in a lot of like the early stuff. So, like the number of times we'd even morph a song, from its original state. It didn't always stay like the exact same song. You took what you looked like from it. You kind of continued to play with it until you felt was just right. So that was the thing with that band, is like it felt like we were never done, to the point to even where we were like ready to like put names to stuff. I think we even with the set list, because obviously I for sure remember that we had a set list, what was on it, like for the relative degree show anyway. But like the reason I can't recall the names is because like, and it was funny, like, Brad would just say, the song that's, and like we play. So a lot of times we describe songs by like the sound of it more than the name of it.
That's cool. You also mentioned
Yeah,
Stick and Move. That's my personal favorite Xero song. And I remember
yeah,
I read somewhere that was always the one that stood out in live shows, that always make the crowd go wild in the live shows. Do you remember
yeah,
something like that?
yeah. Stick and Move, definitely. Um, just one of the things I think Mark did really, really well is just like his ability to, you felt like kind of like the angst and like the distortion he was able to get out of his voice and stuff too. So like when he like screamed on certain things, like it was like you could feel it. And I think a lot of people related to it. So he was just able to vocalize it where a lot of people can't.
That's cool. Did you continue to pursue a music career after Karma and Relative Degree and Xero, or did you move on to something else?
For a while, I didn't touch the bass at all. It took me a little bit to kind of move on, to be honest. So I think I kind of disconnected from music for a while, just because it was hard for me. I mean, like those guys were my buddies, from like us practicing all the time to like not seeing them. I mean, it's a big life adjustment. And thank God I had other stuff going on too. So I was going to Cal State Long Beach, and had plenty of friends there too, so it was kind of able to help me keep my mind off that stuff. But yeah, that answer the question, or
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
totally.
kind of went off?
Were you still in touch with the band when Chester joined with the guys?
The only time, and it's funny. So they played a show, obviously, Linkin Park did, at the Westminster Best Buy.
Mhm.
And I actually ran into Chester one time there when he was shopping. And this is before I had even ever met him.
Mhm.
So I kind of introduced myself to him, because I didn't really know Chester. But that time that I ran into the guys in Vegas, where Phoenix gave me the tickets, the backstage passes and stuff.
Mhm.
Then I was able to go back there and talk with all the guys, and it was kind of cool. Like, Brad and Rob were kind of poking fun and having a good time talking about me to Chester. So that was a special moment. Definitely kind of connected the pieces for me. And like I said, it was kind of gave me the closure
Mhm.
that I needed, especially like with the guys who kind of like took over the band, how like gracious they were, to see Chester and Phoenix kind of take it. And like the cool thing is, like when you're working on that stuff in the early days and you see it kind of move on to like honestly be like my absolute favorite band in the world, it's cool to kind of see like the early stuff morph into that.
Definitely. I'm also like, I think it's my favorite part of digging Xero era stuff about the band, because as you said, I love seeing that progress from Xero to becoming one of the most huge bands of 21st century. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we did some fun stuff, man. I mean, like, I remember one time, so we definitely liked Rage Against the Machine for sure. I remember, I think this was right before our show at the Roxy. If I can place it right, don't quote me on that. I think it is.
Okay.
But Rage Against the Machine played a show at Cal State Dominguez Hills at the Velodrome, and we all went together. And it was a free show. And Mark and I like literally waited out at Ticketmaster for like I swear it was like 12 hours overnight to get these free tickets to go see Rage. And dude, like to see it with the guys and have, like that was unbelievable. That was an amazing show too. I don't know if there's much like live recordings of it, but that was to me like one of the best Rage shows ever.
Is there any other cool story you'd like to share about your time with Relative Degree or the members of Linkin Park?
Yeah, I mean, I think the gods just smiled down on us. I mean, like it's kind of cool to know that I hopefully played a little part in it, right? Like if Rob would have never met those guys, like it's cool to know how it went. But yeah, just I mean, just the fun of a whole bunch of young guys like cracking jokes, and I mean, you saw their humor. It's always been like that. So we just had a lot of fun, man. Like the amount of jokes and the amount of just cracking each other and from the creative process with them was really, really cool. Just how we like just start with a drum beat or a bass line and just kind of build it up, and like like the process I'll always remember. It was just fun and organic, and yeah, just really good times.
That's so cool. Like this whole interview is so, I don't know, it came out of nowhere. Like you appeared out of nowhere, and then we're having this interview and it feels so surreal. It's so cool to learn all those things about the early times of the band. You really helped us clear up a lot of things. And I don't know, honestly, you seem like a cool person. I really enjoy doing this.
Thanks, man. Same here, man. It's funny how things work, right? Like 25 years later, just randomly seeing a Instagram or some type of thing from Velvet Hammer kind of led me into this. And like after I had not even thought about it for just, the longest amount of time. So not that I didn't listen to Linkin Park. I freaking love that band. That band's, obviously amazing. And just their ability to connect and keep it vulnerable. I think that's what they did so well that so many of us connected with.